Once there were 2 mice, and one mouse said unto the other mouse, "Hey, brother, let us buy new recording equipment." And the other good mouse replied, "Yes, my brother. Tell me, how much does this equipment cost?" And he said, 2 cheese wheels. So the good mouse took out his phone, and using the cheese app, he instantly transferred 2 wheels of cheese to his brother's account. The other mouse said to him, "Brother, you have transferred too much wheels of cheese, for you see, it is 2 wheels of cheese in total. You should transfer only 1 wheel of cheese." And the other mouse, the good mouse, replied, "Can you return half of cheese to me?" And he said, "Yes, I can." So the good mouse also said, "Please show me the invoice for this equipment." The other mouse was furious. "How dare you? Here's your invoice. How dare you mistrust me? I thought we were supposed to be friends. I thought you respected gentlemen's deals. I thought we utilized the honor system. And now, what, you think that I told you a higher price so that I would embezzle your money? Here's your invoice." And the other good mouse lowered his head as the other mouse was screaming at him, and he said, "No, dear brother, I did not think that you would embezzle money by saying that it's more expensive than it was. I thought that you said a lower price in order to pay more, in order to cover my lack, for, as you know, I don't have much cheese." And that mouse was me.
Who's the other one?
Doesn't matter. Once again, I'm asking for your financial support.
So,
Okay.
there's no moral of the story because the story is completely fake.
It's not completely fake.
No, first of all, it's
No.
mice and cheese. That doesn't work. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's actually taking reality, putting it in a blender, and getting this story, essentially. Because,
Also some ice.
yeah, and some fake.
And a lot of fake.
A lot of fake.
In reality, we kind of bought some new equipment and we're testing it out. Hopefully it's going to work.
Hopefully, very hopefully.
Yeah, and just he's trying to be the good mouse from the story, but that's,
I'm tucking in my stomach so hard right now because this angle is really unflattering.
Yeah, we also kind of changed the environment in which we're recording, and hopefully that is going to work as well.
This isn't a green screen.
Yeah, it's not. It's a wall.
Look, I can actually touch the shelf.
Yeah, there's a shelf. We can't move it, so it's a shelf. But no, there's 2 shelves. These are 2 shelves. One is mine, obviously, and the other one is B's.
Yeah, and pray that I don't have a critical button failure.
Critical button failure.
Yes.
Wonder where that would be.
On my shirt.
On my shirt.
Yeah.
On my shirt.
On my shirt.
Okay. Welcome to the 5th, I believe, episode.
Yes.
Of
Church Mouse Chronicles.
The place where we butcher the truth. No, we don't.
And pronunciation.
We don't.
Well, we butcher the pronunciation.
We butcher things. Yes, that's correct. Today or tonight, whatever, we are going to talk about a controversial topic. Actually, I think it's a bit of a controversial topic.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes,
Quite controversial. We've been getting questions, which is awesome, and I'm always on the fence. Should I respond to questions immediately on YouTube or on our site where the questions are, incoming, or should I keep it for the video where we can say anything we want? And it's not an exchange. It's more like we kind of have the advantage of the home field, but. And I'm kind of leaning towards responding in video, especially because, believe it or not, B and I actually have a lot of things that we disagree on. Sometimes significantly, one might say profoundly, but that's perfectly fine and that's perfectly normal. I think basis of every healthy conversation is actually,
blocking people on YouTube.
which I'm not going to quote because we already kind of responded to it in one of our last videos, was about Orthodox Christians participating in the process of either growing marijuana or distributing it. And you don't want to talk about that?
Pot, weed.
Marijuana.
Okay, fine.
Marijuana.
Okay.
So pot. So and I think it's actually a good question. Like, what's the morale of it all, right? Is it? Let's start with the fact that the church fathers never had to deal with that particular topic. More or less, that very specific topic.
Well, yeah, but they sort of dealt with a very similar one.
Fair
like
enough.
Drunkenness.
Yes, alcohol. But mostly alcohol.
Yeah.
And let me ask a question, right? Is it immoral to work in a liquor store or in production of alcohol? Is it a sin?
Yes.
Everything's a sin. No, is it a sin by itself? No, it's not.
No, it's
Is it a sin to work in production of like weapons? Not on its own. It has to be accompanied by something. For example, I think I can imagine like a person assembling an AK-47.
Okay.
Like I can imagine like two people. One is being like, just doing my job and all that, and the other was like, oh, somebody's gonna get whacked. So
oh yeah.
obviously there is a difference between the two, right?
Is it a sin to be an executioner?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is the executioner enjoying his job?
But is it a sin to enjoy your job?
No, it depends on the job.
Is it a sin to work as a cameraman for a porn movie?
Is it a sin to work as a cameraman? Yeah, those are the exact questions. Those are the exact questions. I guess if you're like a Christian or just a moralist, like every other Christian, you're wondering basically, is it okay? / is it a sin for me to work in such an industry? Where the end result is being used for things that are obviously, sinful / immoral, depending on whatever position you're looking from. So let's try to answer that question.
Okay.
When I look at the adult entertainment industry,
okay,
which everybody says porn, I start with really feeling sorry for a lot of people actually involved, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people kind of end up there for reasons that are not really they're them being nymphomaniacs or something, or just enjoying doing it, or just wanting to do that particular job. There's a lot of people who I think get tricked into it.
How many
don't
people
have a choice?
How many people even enjoy doing it? I mean, I don't want to get really crude here, but imagine you have something that you like doing, and then you start doing it professionally, and everybody's interrupting you every minute. Stop! No, bad angle. No.
Well, you're going too deep into the analysis of porn, which I mean,
that was a very poor choice of words. So,
back to the original topic, hopefully. So the question is, how does one keep, morality, or how does one keep themselves away from sin? How does one shield themselves from sin? Some questions really are left to be answered, for starters, with yourself, in reflection with your personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
And 2 people, 2 different views. 5 people, 5 different views. 100 people, 100 different views. And not everything is, and not everything can be covered by officials of, for example, of a church, right? I think I already said that sometimes in our previous episodes. Church can't really have a position on everything. Right?
In previous episode, and it's St. Paul. He says in Epistle to Romans that we can be condemned for something that we consider as sinful.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of such cases.
Absolutely. If you consider doing something like that sinful, you know, you will feel bad if you're doing it anyways. That's like your conscience just doing its job, right?
Yeah, but let's put it in perspective. Let's say that pharmacies start... Okay, is it a sin to work as a pharmacist?
Great question.
Yeah.
When you know, a lot of things that's behind a lot of drugs and supplements.
No, not only that. That included. But for example, in most cases, people go to pharmacy to seek a cure for something. Sometimes they go to pharmacy to prevent conception or to end it once it happened. And, it is a...
It's always a question that I think an individual needs to solve with themselves first, then with somebody whom they trust. For example, your priest. If you're Christian. If you're Christian, right? You're going to go to a priest. You can go to a psychiatrist. I mean, who cares? If you're having doubts about things, like, the worst thing is to, like, go into a cocoon, right? Yeah. And just not do anything about it. I think that's, not doing anything could be immoral or sinful on its own, I think.
I could share what my spiritual father told me for a sort of similar case, but bear in mind this was my case, so it might not be applicable to you. At one point I got an offer to work in this NGO that was providing aid to migrants, And the guy who interviewed me, he told me that it can get pretty gritty. And he told me that at one point he had to take a girl who got pregnant to get an abortion because she got pregnant along the way. And if the guys in her group found that out, bad things would happen, And man, immediately, like, tons of scruples, like, what should I do in such a case? I mean, am I to suggest that she not do it or something?
Yeah.
And I asked my priest and he said, the choice is up to her. It's not you who are doing it. She has made her will. I mean, it's not... Your job is to help those people, and sometimes that help can be extremely dark. And maybe not even help per se, but this was one specific example where he was like, just pray for her, do the right. Thank God, in the end I didn't get the job. So I'm not in the position...
I don't have to deal with this.
No, seriously.
No, I know.
Because if I had to do something like that, I would, if I did it, that baby's on me. If I didn't do it, that baby and that girl's on me. Yeah. And you're like, just sitting in darkness.
B was like, God, please take away this cross from me. Look. I have a situation. I'm not going to disclose anything really, other than the fact that I was invited in a way to partake, building or simply managing a team that is supposed to build a piece of software. That is supposed to be used in an industry that is not, in my opinion at least, and in probably every Christian's opinion, it's not moral. Now, I looked at it from many different perspectives. I contemplated on it, prayed on it, and I still don't have an answer.
Why didn't you ask me?
Yeah, because I don't value your opinion. No, because
this was such a great retort.
I know, but I had to. It was like like a dunk. And I'm still not sure what to do. I've yet to speak to my priest, which I absolutely intend to do. And I actually already had that situation. Somebody hit me with their car, and we exchanged information. He was supposed to pay for my repairs, but he was like, "Oh, that's too much." Just ignore communication. But I was fortunate that I took a picture of his ID card, blah blah. I was in the position to sue, and I actually even back then I was wondering. It was like almost 10 years ago. I was wondering, should I sue this guy. And so I go ask my priest.
Yes.
And he was like, what's emperor's goes to the emperor. What's of the Lord goes to the Lord. So.
And he didn't strike the Lord, so.
Exactly. So I sued the guy, I won, etc., etc. I don't feel bad about it, to be honest. I don't.
He shouldn't. He was an idiot. He should pay.
Well, but I was on the fence. Should I do it or not? And I now have this dilemma, with this potential, opportunity, which I'm inclined not to take it, because I don't want to keep wondering, am I doing the right thing or not, etc., etc. But it's easy for me when I have a choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in a position where it could mean the difference between your kids having lunch on the table or not. Can you really judge somebody?
Yeah.
Can you? Seriously?
No.
So I guess to go back to the very original question about marijuana.
Yeah.
It's as any other thing. The marijuana industry, the pot producing industry, it's as many that came before it, as many that are still active. And the question is really the same, and ends up, being, you as a person, as a personality, because that's what's unique with you. You have to decide. And the best thing I could advise to somebody is to make sure you're having an informed decision, that exactly what you're doing, because then you're able to actually analyze, the pros and cons, etc., etc. Whenever in doubt, just talk to people.
Yeah.
You will hear so many perspectives. Like I've been in that situation too many times to count, and I've always I used to assemble a team of my best friends.
You never called me.
No. We had a hiatus. You weren't that relevant. Even now, I'm on the fence. Should I call B?
Anyway, regarding your lawsuit, Christ says in the Gospel, "Be wise as serpents and fluffy as doves."
Yeah.
And people are usually either too wise or too fluffy. We need both people. If you get hit by an idiot, sue him. If he says, "Please, sir, I need to feed my family, I can't," okay, maybe don't sue. But if he's an idiot.
But check if there's a family to feed behind, because people.
Yes.
People gonna be people.
And we hate people.
To kind of try to conclude on this one, because it is, even though it seems like a simple question, it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
The best way, from my perspective, how I see it, the best way to gauge a potential decision, right? Mm-hmm. To weigh it against other alternative decisions, is to ask yourself this: am I doing this out of love? Because love, at the end of the day, assumes a bit of sacrifice.
Yeah.
So and when we're talking about sacrifice, it's not sacrificing others.
Yeah.
It's sacrificing something of yours. Is it your time? Is it your energy? Is it like you have to do with some people in your life, for example? But you do it willingly. Yeah. You sacrifice your energy, sometimes your precious life energy. You sacrifice it, right? And then you ask yourself, is it this what I'm going to do? Am I doing it out of love? Or maybe, if you're not doing it out of love per se, will the benefits that I reap from it give me the opportunity to actually do something good, And of course, you actually have to do it. It's not like, God, please give me $1 million. I swear I'm going to give, this much to the poor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying,
Yeah, and while you're praying that, the devil is making a list of things for you to buy that he will put into your brain the split second you get that money. He won't put it before. Initially we have, get a better apartment and that's it. And then he pushes it through the ear. And then you're like, that camera is really nice.
Really, I never realized I need this. But now that I can, hey, you poor guy, get out of here. You lost your place in the queue.
Yeah, you're blocking my great new camera.
So we kind of started this episode with morality.
Yes.
So first he talked about an immoral mouse, bad mouse who embezzles money, which is supposed to be me.
No, he wasn't a bad mouse. He didn't embezzle the money.
Yeah, fact is I still didn't return your half.
No. I think I said you did return the half.
But I didn't. You lie.
Okay, maybe I omitted to say it. But the point was that you returned the money, but you were offended that I wanted to see the receipt. Which in life was actually opposite. He sent me the receipt, and I'm like, why are you sending the receipt?
You were insulting me by sending me the receipt.
No, like, just to show you how it costs. Yeah. But I don't care. Yeah, but you know I'm all for transparency. But I don't care, you told me how much it costs.
Yeah, transparency is cool. To me, I like it.
Do you know who doesn't think that transparency is cool?
You?
Our church.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Again,
since
we started with morality, our today's topic is actually not just morality on its own, but also morality in the church. We are going to be talking about the Christian Orthodox Church, not the other churches or institutions that refer to them as churches. We can't really offer that perspective.
Yeah.
And there's this thing, and it's so Catholic, to believe that whatever the church says is infallible, right? Some people look at it like that. For example, if a church makes a decision, it's infallible.
Yes, but okay. There's a distinction where church makes a decision on like, is Jesus God? Everybody.
Yeah, that's dogma.
That's dogma. Yeah, people are very prone to actually believe that is infallible. However, more down to earth decisions like
secular decisions, we might say.
Yeah. Like Father so is placed in the parish of Saint X and X and so on.
Yeah.
This much money will be delegated to this ministry. This much money will be delegated to this.
Or we're going to build a church right there. Yeah, really.
Are you referring to that specific municipality in Serbia?
Absolutely.
I can't wait for that.
Look. B likes to bash the church, but it's not really bashing the church. It's really bashing the ones who represent it and lead it. The episcopate.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Okay. Here's my pet peeve. Okay.
That episode is done.
Okay, not pet peeve. This is something that really grinds my gears.
So, a pet peeve.
This really grinds my gears. So, there is this new residential block in Serbia.
It's not that new.
What?
It's not that new.
Okay. That was Serbian, by the way.
I'll translate.
Okay.
A subtitle will be added.
For your convenience. Anyway.
It's not the first time.
Yeah. So, and according to the plans, there was supposed to be a primary healthcare center built in that building block.
Which is kind of important.
Yeah, you need primary healthcare center. But what happened? Church representatives came. They literally put their little flag on the lot. In this case, a consecrated cross.
Yeah.
And they decided that will be a perfect place for a parish church. Because apparently in Serbian Orthodox Church, people believe that if you're building a part of the city, you can simply pick a plot and then build a church there.
Isn't it really like that? In reality, the state, in its different historical shapes and forms, took away church property.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's documented. It's well documented. And the church obviously has a continuous relationship with the state, trying to resolve that and get and it's been a constant issue, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because the church and the state are constantly, intertwined in something that one might say looks very much shady. And I'm guessing that a part of that, as entire process is the church being like, we want to build a temple here, and the state being like, yeah, sure, why would we need to build, a very expensive primary healthcare institution, which we promised, and the kindergarten.
Yeah. And the kindergarten. Okay, great.
It was supposed to be a kindergarten there, actually. No, and then they built a gas pump instead of the kindergarten.
Oh boy.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And obviously the people started complaining.
Well, yeah, my coworker said, "Oh, wow, well, that's great. If I start coughing up blood, I could simply go to the church and light a candle for it."
No, really, the thing is, my personal problem is when people started protesting against it.
Yeah.
It really having verbal and physical conflicts with whomever is working on that, on building that, church and preparing the terrain and all that. Like, the church really should have grown a pair of ears and actually listened to the people.
Okay, can I share something about our church again? Our church.
It's going to be 5 episodes.
Our church will never say, "I'm sorry, we've made a mistake, we messed up, we have been too hasty." No, they never, ever.
That's the sort of infallibility that I was talking about.
No.
When I say there are some who believe, I'm thinking basically everybody working for the church.
Yeah, but we, the church, have this victim mentality. We're like, we're always a victim, and therefore we can do no wrong. Yeah, which is a horrible mentality.
The thing is, if people are not ready to think on their own and accept that there are things, church is obviously created, is an institution governed by God. If that's what we all of us pretty much believe, but it's governed by God on a large scale, and this is why the dogma doesn't really change. This is why the dogmas that are set in place have been in place for so long.
Actually, I think that God governs the church at the topmost part, dogma,
exactly,
and the lowest part, as in like the very living life of the faithful. Anything in between.
It's anything in between
is free for all.
Is the people, and if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, don't listen to this. But all of us are extremely sinful, and all of us have our own, things that we bring into the church because we are, at the end of the day, church. Yeah,
and the thing is with our episcopate, I believe, honestly, despite of how much I dislike it, a lot of those people have to juggle a lot of things, they have to make great balancing acts. I know for a fact that certain of our bishops are essentially blackmailed by some forces both in and outside of our church to act in a way that they act, because otherwise a scandal will break loose. And I think this is something that happens literally everywhere. Like, you constantly have these sorts of scandals in every major corporation, with every state, in political parties and so on, and the church is not exempt from it.
Yeah, the boat might be going in the right direction, but whoever is, rowing and, giving the different instructions, they're not perfect. No, nobody is. That's what I was going for. Nobody is perfect. And the thing that the church has with the state, and we're really talking about a lot of property, a lot of church property was usurped and just taken away by the state, especially in the communist era, like after the Great War. And some of the things that church is doing, I think, from my perspective, of course, I might be completely wrong, but some of the things that the church is doing to get all that property back, etc., is making deals which are essentially a compromise. So
deals with the devil.
Literally deals with the devil. If I may actually offer a very specific deal with the devil.
Only one? Well, let's offer 5, 10.
So the president of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, this is the first and the last time I'm saying his name in the podcast. By the way, every single if you turn on the radio when it's news time, every single news program starts with President of Serbia Aleksandar Vučić blah 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 did this, said that, blah blah blah. So a bit of a dictator there. Yeah. So he received when the church was celebrating, I think 600 or 800 years of autocephaly.
800.
800. Thank you. 8 centuries of autocephaly. The patriarch awarded our president the Medal of Saint Sava, which is the highest highest honor given by the Serbian Orthodox Church. Like, if you wanted to pick the most controversial person
and the most undeserving
person ever, like, that's whom you give it to. And this is not the only medal that was given to politicians very recently. Like, it was even given to politicians who don't really know how to make the sign of the cross. Which was documented on camera, which is ridiculous and funny, but it's also, like, seriously very sad.
Yeah, but, making faulty sign of the cross...
It was the camera. It's not, in comparison to everything else.
Yeah, like, if that were their worst sin...
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Look, when I say if there was a more controversial person, there is actually a little bit more controversial person.
Which one?
Siniša Mali. He used to run Belgrade as its mayor, and then he became the there was an affair. Then he was like taken away from that position. Now he's one of our ministers. Minister of Economy with a fake doctorate.
That is a recurring motive in Serbian politics. You do something completely outrageous that you would fly from the political scene, for example, in the United States.
You become hero.
No, they simply put him in a different ministry. Like
so they put him in a bit of a limbo. Like, they put him under the, behind the drapes or under the carpet. And then, like, a couple of months later, new minister, new warden of this institution,
Yeah, like, we had this minister who said... some journalists met him, and one of the journalists was a woman.
She ducked so that she can put the microphone.
Yeah, so she kneeled, like, in front of him, and he said, I like women who easily kneel.
Yeah, that's literally what he said.
He literally said that on camera. And
oh my God, what an idiot.
But he did something far worse than that, but we will talk about that very soon. And for that worst thing, he wasn't, forced to resign. So anyway, they asked I think he was prime minister at the time.
But with the same connotation as
So they asked our then prime minister, Aleksandar Vučić, how will he deal with such a scandalous statement? And he said, he can no longer be minister of defense. And the split second I heard it, and he's getting a different function. Obviously. And now he is the head of our secret police.
It's like when in Roman Catholic Church, priests do something bad.
Yeah.
They just transfer him to a different parish or something.
Oh, thank God we don't do that here.
I don't know. It's not that...
No, it's not that rampant as it was in parts of the United States and Ireland, but... The same mentality. The same mentality exists here.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you can't. What would you expect? I have this like point of view, and I strongly believe that whoever is currently leading the state and the church, we absolutely deserve it as people. Like, we deserve it. It's because of our choices. It's because of our nature, our mentality,
our sins.
Well, obviously, I was kind of going there.
Okay.
But that being said, we are absolutely deserving of them.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think. And everything that we're talking about right now, which might be called lack of morality or shadiness in the church or simply something unexpected, it's actually could be pretty much expected, because everything, this mentality, this mentality of ours, it simply radiates through the entire society and takes every single institution, including the church.
It's a wild hellfire, literally.
Yeah, so Siniša Mali, the guy who was mayor of Belgrade, is now our minister of finances. His doctorate was actually bashed.
To smithereens.
To smithereens, because he obviously... And we have a lot of fake PhDs, but he is like the most controversial right now.
Yeah.
Because it took the entire scientific community of people who are not directly with the government to actually do something about it. And he's still like, no, my doctorate, my dissertation was absolutely legit, but the pressure of this and that guy, and they're completely spinning it and turning it around, but the guy is still our minister of economy, the guy who literally faked his doctorate,
And still, that is not the worst story.
Yeah, because he's also a proud wearer, a proud obtainer of a medal of no, he's not. He didn't get set. He got
Angel?
The Martyrs of Dragosavljević.
When I saw that news, I was like, are you serious now?
We gave the same salad to Vučić. We gave it to Dodik, who is the president of Republika Srpska, an entity within Bosnia and Herzegovina. We gave that to Dodik. Which lower medal do we have for Siniša Mali? Like, literally.
A medal of Saint Jude Thaddeus?
And the fact is, church does these things,
all the time.
And you have, if you're not aware of it, become aware of it, because your church is doing the same in this or that way.
I already mentioned our former Minister of Defense.
The current one is much better.
Oh man! When I heard it, I was like, maybe we should keep him there. So anyway,
can we go with the sexist guy again?
So anyway, the sexist guy, the one who said, "I like women who easily kneel down." There was a medical emergency in one of Serbia's southern cities. This is the worst story ever.
I hate that.
A baby went into a shock, and they decided to land a chopper in the city to put the anesthesiologist, a couple of doctors, and the baby in the chopper, and to transfer them to Kragujevac, I think, which is also a southern city. In any case, much closer to...
I think they were transporting it to Belgrade, and that's where things...
No. They were supposed to go to Kragujevac because it was much closer. Mm-hmm. But they decided to transfer the baby to Belgrade because to make, a nice photo op for the ministers.
The minister wanted to take a picture, rescuing the child.
Yeah, which is also something that they like to do. But the chopper entered into a huge thunderstorm. The chopper fell. Everyone on board perished. Everyone.
Yeah, just so that we're clear, the weather conditions were known in advance.
Yeah.
And, flying a chopper
was ill-advised.
Ill-advised.
But a couple of media outlets hurried with the news, and they published two ministers of health and defense received the baby, and the baby is fine. And they published it. And they quickly retracted when they heard about the tragedy, but
what has been seen cannot be unseen, and there are screenshots. You bastards!
Yeah,
you will get yours.
And people complain when I say that some people will end up in hell.
I did not say it. I said they will get theirs. That does not mean they're... How would I know? How would you know?
Because they pray for it. Okay, don't do that.
So, in another episode of our blasphemy series...
Anyway.
No, I'm saying they are going to get it. There's no sin that gets, unpunished. And I'm not rooting for the sin to get punished. Well,
I'm rooting for this sin to get punished.
I'm just
not necessarily in hell, but something.
I'm just so mad. I'm just so mad. And the worst part of it, they blame it on the pilot.
The pilot, who's a pious Muslim, they said that he was drunk, and his mother was like, he never tasted alcohol in his life.
He's a Muslim. His religion stops him from doing it, and he is a decorated, well-respected.
Yeah.
greatness of a man.
And then, the worst part of all, there comes our Prime Minister in his aura of dark glory and says, I won't let you bash that brave pilot. And you're like...
I mean, but look. We can't talk about the Serbian government that much because...
No. I will. There's a very there is a specific reason why I'm talking about this. So anyway, there were those two ministers. One is like defense minister, and the other is minister of health, and he's also known by a very affectionate name, Angel of Death, because he used to execute people as a part of a mafia clan. But I digest. This minister...
I think you can say I digest.
I know.
You were going to say something else, right? I digress.
I know. You have an eyelash on your eyelid, and I'm so trying hard not to... Like on the lower eyelid, on your left eye.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, it's still there.
Stop it. Get away.
I can't look at you.
Is it done?
Yes. Oh, okay. So anyway, the Minister of Defense built a church in, I think, his home village or something.
Yeah, this.
And there is this fresco, like, a donor fresco, like there's St. John the Baptist pointing at him, and there's him in this Byzantine cloak holding the church.
Like a model of the church.
A model of the church.
Like holding the church.
I want to desecrate that fresco so bad, not St. John the Baptist, but that guy. And one of the best political cartoons I have seen is like that fresco with that politician, but instead of a model of a church, he's holding a crashed chopper. Oh. And it's great. That chopper that had a crash, it had a very specific shape. You remember the photos, like if I showed you a shape, you would recognize it. And they just placed it in his arms, and this was like, this is what you're going before the Lord. This is what you're going to bring to him.
Spot on.
Yeah. So
and
somebody blessed that church. Somebody consecrated it.
There is a bishop who was like, I give my blessings for this to happen.
I mean, one of our former presidents also built a church in his home village, and there was some little flack about it. But I'm like, okay, fine, he can. I don't like him politically, but fine, okay, build a church. But this guy is literally a murderer. And don't give yourself a prominent place in that church. If you only build a church, okay, fine, but don't.
I don't know if a layman, let's call it like that, asks for his fresco or their fresco to be, in a church. I don't think they understood things very well.
A friend of mine,
it doesn't work like that. Not even it doesn't work like that.
A friend of mine, Vladana, she was in our podcast, and she talked about the history of Belgrade. She has this great anecdote about this artist. In this village in Serbia, I don't remember which, the villagers decided to convert one of the local houses that was abandoned into a church. Okay. So from outside, that house looks exactly like all of the other houses in the village. So they hire an artist to, paint frescoes in the church. And the artist wanted to leave his mark, so he drew himself offering that church to Saint Paraskiv. But because he didn't like how the church looked from the outside, because it's just an ordinary house, he drew Studenica monastery.
Artistic liberty.
License. It's called artistic license.
Yeah, the guy who painted a lot of churches in Serbia. Yeah. Milić Maček.
I was planning a video on schlock icons.
Oh yeah.
And
this guy loves to draw hell.
Not just hell, but just really weird frescoes.
Yeah, and his signature is like a bunch of like trees.
Like flying logs.
Yeah, flying logs, which he paints everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a church, which I'm going to show you in Voždovac.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, that's the darkest church I've ever been to. Like there's so many,
like figures in the frescoes. A lot.
It's like he really wanted to show how hell looks like,
I don't think that's hell.
I don't know.
I mean, it gives the impression of hell, but it's
not. I don't really know what it is because. And we're back.
Welcome to another episode of Pixel Mouse Chronicles.
Yeah. First of all, apologies for the fact that this episode seems to be taking forever. And second of all, if the audio is different or the video is different, we apologize again because we're still testing this equipment and it fails.
If everything is going according to plan now, video should be of lower quality, but audio of much higher quality.
Yeah, so we're still playing with this and we ask for your forgiveness.
And for the damnation of the manufacturers.
No, but there's something to be said about some parts of the equipment.
Yes. Back to the topic. Okay, so, yes. We had that unfortunate incident with our minister building a church with his prominent figure and that artist who built a church with his image. And the painter, Mirjana, who paints churches in a very, very different way. Yeah. As we said, he likes flying logs. I don't know what's up with that, but sure, what's not. And
maybe it's all about the log from the Bible story.
Ah, yeah, the famous log, the Bible log, dear log, captain's log,
stardate, blah blah blah. So what's next, B? Who are we gonna bash next? Who's going to hell? Who's going to hell lottery?
I know a certain newspaper editor.
Just one.
Every
newspaper editor in Serbia.
Yeah, but this one especially.
Oh, okay, I know.
Okay, guys, we have this newspaper editor, and his newspaper is especially pro-current regime. Like, especially. We basically joke that his newspaper is basically the official gazette of the ruling party. And what's special about this tabloid, essentially, are very crude front pages, like with crude words and so on. Before this episode started, I actually wanted to download top 10 best newspaper front pages.
There's so many.
No, like every edition is horrible. You would have she stuck a bottle in her C word, and this is like on the front page, and like I bet him to stop, and he said I'm going to your, and like this is the type of
but also the black humor and also the black news part, the black news section. If I well, we call it the Dark Chronicle. The Dark Chronicles, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it's called in English as well?
I don't know. Maybe it's just crime.
Something to crime. Yeah.
Why not? Well, it is crime.
In the crime and sin section. No, this is ridiculous because these guys. We're talking about Kurir, right?
No,
Informer.
Yeah.
Okay. He was talking about Informer.
Yeah.
That's why you started with the editor.
Yeah.
But there's also Kurir. Translated literally to messenger
or courier.
Burn.
Speaking of burn, one of the front pages of Courier had this front page article. He burned to death, and all of the fonts were flaming.
Yeah,
like
so considerate.
The grieving family.
So the thing is, Serbia is a small country.
Yeah.
And when you hear of school shootings, sex crimes and stuff like that in the United States, for example, you're not really that surprised. When you hear of similar things in Serbia, it's more of an exception than it is a rule. If we're not talking about, mafia-related killings, which are not that uncommon. But they don't all occur in the territory of Serbia.
Oh, I wish there were more mafia-related killings.
B.
Okay.
Let's skip your wishes for now.
Okay.
Let's just not talk about that.
Okay.
The point is, Kurir, they would, they have a special section where, if somebody dies, gets killed, especially if they die in, newsworthy ways, that's how they look at it at least, they will write a report from the funeral. They will talk about how his or her mother cried, the words she said, how she mourned her child. Man.
A friend of mine once commented, I think that Blitz newspaper or Newsflash.
That's number 3.
That's the number 3, which is the least culprit of them all, but still.
But it's the same vibe.
It's still bad. She said, I think that Blitz should introduce a regular rubric, like a regular article, cries of mourning mothers. Oh, my child. Oh, the son of my eyes has said. And so
imagine somebody actually writing that. Calling themselves a news anchor? No?
Reporter.
No, reporter, yeah.
Or journalist.
Journalist, yeah, journalist, exactly. I don't know why I went that way. But yeah, nowadays, the media and morality are not... Well, actually, the media talks a lot about morality. But, using it, in very bad... with very bad intentions in mind.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be more to talk about this particular topic, but we can leave it for one of our next episodes.
Well, we can add it to the list to the sequels that we never do.
Sequels that we never do. In the next episode of Sequels That We Never Do, we continue talking about the church and morality.
And church and our pet peeves. Also Belgrade. And pollution and devastation of Belgrade.
And news. No, we won't talk about news. Maybe if it's something very, very important like the coronavirus.
That was in poor taste.
Yeah, actually, something that actually describes the panic that is created with the coronavirus. A Chinese person went into a bus, boarded a bus in Belgrade.
Okay.
Sat down and coughed.
Did everybody run out?
Absolutely. On the next stop, every single person, besides the driver,
and the guy with the headphones.
No, actually, if the guy with the headphones saw everybody just leaving,
But maybe he would think that the bus control is boarded.
Oh my god, it must be the control.
Yeah.
Or he was just recording it.
I think that one of the cruisers was, they introduced quarantine on one of the cruisers in Montenegro or Italy.
Really?
Yeah, like there are 3,000 people on the cruiser and around 400 have coronavirus.
I saw a video
of
a Chinese a cab driver kicking out a coughing passenger after confirming that he came from the Wuhan province.
Okay.
He stopped, he was like, get out.
Okay. I sort of understand that. Okay.
No, this is not judging. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying the panic is really, really high up. It's real. And there's good grounds for panic to,
Well, yeah, but I think that typical seasonal flu is much more dangerous than coronavirus.
Well, you may think, but there are people who think that the coronavirus is just too contagious.
No. Coronavirus is very contagious, but it's not that lethal. It's extremely contagious.
According to the expert.
Are you going to believe the experts?
Well, that's actually a good question.
In any case, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share, pledge on Patreon. Once again, we are asking for your financial support. That's my favorite to me of this year already.
Oh, God.
You know, when I saw it a couple of times, first couple of times I saw it, I was like, okay, it's okay. But every time I see it, it gets funnier because he seems like he's constantly begging over and over. Poor man.
Guys, see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.